If you're a baker trying to figure out how to exactly turn your baking into a real income stream without burning yourself out, underpricing yourself, or feeling like you're constantly guessing what to do next, then this video is for you. When I started my micro bakery at the beginning of this year, I honestly thought that making good cookies would be enough. But I learned pretty quickly that there's a huge difference between being good at baking and building a business that's actually sustainable and profitable. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I'd do if I had to start my micro bakery completely over in 2026. The things I would have focused on earlier, the mistakes I'd avoid, and the decisions that actually helped me start growing and making consistent sales from home. So a little bit of a background on how I started my micro bakery in January. I kind of was hyped up by all the different bakers I had seen on social media building micro bakeries from home and was just really encouraged to start my own. The problem was I was just kind of all over the place. I'd been doing sourdough for a little over a year, so I was comfortable with that process and I knew that I wanted to do sourdough baked goods. My problem was that I couldn't decide on what I wanted to bake. So I wanted to bake everything: sourdough bread, English muffins, dinner rolls, cookies, muffins, scones, you name it. I was just excited to start baking. But I quickly realized that not only was that unsustainable and gonna lead me to burn out very fast, it was also just overwhelming as well. I also had no idea how to price my baked goods properly. I was really just guessing at best. I saw what other bakers were pricing their baked goods at and thought, that sounds like a good price, but I didn't really understand food costs, margins, overhead costs, packaging, and things like that. So after all the trial and error, I eventually found what worked for me. So with all that being said, the number one thing that I would focus on if I was starting over my micro bakery in 2026 is simplicity and systems. So eventually I condensed what was a very chaotic, all over the place menu down to just specializing in one thing, and that was my sourdough cookies, which I'm making here in this video. I actually make 48 sourdough cookies right now for a local coffee shop, and so today I'm making her chocolate chip and some peanut butter as well. Sourdough cookies have become like the hero staple product in my bakery, and it's what my bakery's become known for. So I've just been refining my recipe, making it better, tweaking anything if necessary, and just having fun experimenting with different flavors, but not overwhelming myself at the same time. The other thing would be having systems in place. So this is something that we are still working out day by day, but my husband and I have kind of gotten to a routine of printing out labels, making sure we have packaging, prepping the dough beforehand, feeding the sourdough starter, just kind of making sure everything is in place so that we're not just overwhelmed and things aren't just chaotic in the kitchen last minute trying to figure everything out. This has really helped in particular with just decreasing burnout, feeling more organized, and just overall having this bakery be more sustainable long term. So the second thing I would focus on would be pricing and profitability. Knowing your numbers before you go and start selling is probably the best thing that you could do for your bakery, because at the end of the day, when you're baking things and when you're making things with your hands, you have to consider ingredients, you have to consider the labor, the hard work that you put into it. You have to consider everything, right? Packaging and all of that matters. So before I went all in with my bakery, I would really sit down and figure out what product am I going to be focusing on, or a couple of products, and what is the pricing? How much does it cost to actually make those products? What would put a smile on my face in pricing that product? Or what would make sense in the sense of, like, I'm doing wholesale and retail as well. So I wanted to make sure that my wholesale margins in particular, so what I was selling my cookies to the coffee shop for, was healthy enough to actually cover my food costs, packaging, labor, and overhead as well. If your pricing is all over the place, then the likelihood of you actually profiting in your micro bakery is very slim to none. So this is the second thing that you definitely want to get down. I see too many bakers that are underpricing their baked goods. They have no idea what they should be charging, and I understand because I was once there. They price out of fear. They price feeling like people won't actually pay for their products if it's priced at a premium price. But what I have found is that the right customers that are willing to pay that premium price, they see the value in your baked goods, and they will have no problem paying that price. So you definitely don't want to undersell yourself. So the third thing that I would do differently would be to put a great emphasis on marketing, content, and community. Once I started posting consistently on social media and kind of learning how to leverage social media, things really started to grow for me, not just in a local way, but in a broad way as well. So reaching other micro bakers, connecting with other micro bakers, But even more than that, reaching out to local businesses around me. The relationship that I have developed with the coffee shop owner, where I bring cookies to every week, has turned into multiple business opportunities of not just selling my cookies to her wholesale, which not all cottage bakers can do. I live in Georgia, so blessedly the laws are pretty loose out here for cottage bakers, which is great. But that's also turned into pop-up opportunities, and also just my community around me seeing like, okay, wow, this is actually a legit baking business. She has her cookies at a coffee shop. She does pop-ups there regularly. And so just building that one relationship alone has opened many doors for me. So I strongly recommend getting on social media, not just showing your baked goods by themselves. That's great, and I'm sure they're delicious, but people actually want to connect with the person behind the baked goods. So don't be afraid to show your face. It doesn't have to be perfect. I literally just start doing my thing and I turn the camera on, and then I figure out my content later. It doesn't have to be forced, it just has to be organic. And another big thing for me on top of that has been posting on Nextdoor as well. So outside of just your Instagram, TikTok, things of that nature, posting on Nextdoor, connecting with neighbors around you, setting up a hot plate account. That's something I can get into in another video if you guys are interested. But that has also definitely helped grow my hot plate subscription for when I do my weekly drops as well. These are the things that finally started creating momentum for my bakery. So what actually matters the most in starting your micro bakery is showing up, being consistent, being resilient, not quitting even when things are hard or when you're off to a slow start. Because trust me, I felt like things were going to take off so much faster. I thought I was going to get way more momentum on social media, and I didn't. So, you have to be in it for the long run at the end of the day, and you have to be willing to learn along the way, especially learning business skills, because the baking side is great, but if you don't have any business skills alongside that, the likelihood of you growing your business to the point which you would like to see it is a lot less likely. So you definitely want to invest in yourself, invest some time in learning the business side of your baking business as well. And another big thing I've learned is just to take action, even if it's imperfect. I put myself in so many situations where I would just approach businesses, seeing if they're interested in carrying my cookies, tell them about my brand and what sets me apart, even if that was a rejection on the other end, even if that was a no or they seem not interested at all. I invested time, I invested resources, I would drop off samples to businesses. I got more no's than I got yeses, but I wasn't doing it just to simply get yeses. I was doing it because I'm serious about my business, and I knew that whatever opportunity was for me is for me. And I'm not going to know that if I don't step out on faith and just go forward and build those connections, have those conversations, and things of that nature. I know how overwhelming it can feel in the beginning because there's so much information online, and honestly, a lot of it's confusing or unrealistic. And that's actually why I created a guide specifically for this, because I wanted to simplify the process and share the things that genuinely helped me start building my micro bakery in a more sustainable and profitable way. So if you want the full step-by-step roadmap, I'll have it linked below. I really wanted to make this video because I know how overwhelming it can feel starting out, especially when you're trying to turn something creative into an actual business. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that you don't need to have everything perfectly figured out to start building momentum. And honestly, if I can save another baker from some of the mistakes and burnout I experienced in the beginning, that's so worth it to me. If you want more videos around building a profitable micro bakery, pricing, wholesale, content creation, or balancing business and life, definitely subscribe because I have a lot more that I want to share.